Family Leonardo, me Nasiladi on Multimedia, the CEO Voice of Salon. Today I come for talk to now, my family, make una continue to subscribe to our YouTube channel and share to our friends them. As we always try to bring for the latest news what they happen around Salon, whether it be politics or any other news them, what they happen or gossip, what they bring out to live and direct. So please, my family, don't forget to subscribe and share to our friends them. You wanna touch the bell icon so that you don't miss any video we will try for bring out to now. So that's also we want make una don't forget also for subscribe to we TikTok channel on TikTok and also on Facebook or Facebook page or the Voice of Salon or also the on Instagram Voice of Salon, please family. And don't forget to share. Okay, thank you now. Tata.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Sierra Leoneans, comrades all both home and the diaspora. Shalom to we Christian brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum ya jamati wal muslimina wal muslimat. Juma Mubarak. Ladies and gentlemen, this now the golden voice of the APC Encyclopaedia, the Britannica, the socio-political analyst, the voice of the voiceless, the whistleblower, the lion of the social media, the regional publicity secretary, Southern Region, under the ticket of the mighty, indomitable All People's Congress Party, TGIF. Thank God today, na Friday. Ladies and gentlemen, when are the 13th June 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow listeners, as you know, see the Encyclopedia Media always embark on civic education for continue for educate, inform, sensitize, conscientize, and raise awareness to be people in a mama salon on daily happenings and on burning issues. So una stay tuned, una stay fixed, una stay blessed, una stay connected to the Encyclopedia Media. For una listening pleasure is absolutely guaranteed. Once more today on Friday, the 13th June 2025. Today we get three topics that we will deliberate on. Topic number one, na obituary announcement. Topic number two, we will talk about fetish and ritualism. Topic number three, we will talk about leadership versus terrorism. So we now stay fixed and stay connected to the Encyclopedia Media for the latest. We first topic one at the obituary announcement. Inna lillahi wa inna ilahi raji'un. On behalf of the APC Regional Leadership South, we say Osh to the Kamara family in Abo City for the great loss of we papa, we uncle, we elder, we mentor, we teacher, and we longest serving APC secretary in Abo District, late Comrade Yayah Kamara, the longest serving mathematics and chemistry teacher na Ahmadiyya Senior Secondary School na Bo City, where we lost yesterday on Thursday, the 12th June 2025. May his gentle soul rest in perfect peace, and we wish her a Jannatul Fidao, and let God take control of the family that we don't left. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't lost a hard-working, gentle, soft-spoken, interactive, generous, faithful, and a trustworthy, patriotic son of the soil. He don't serve as APC secretary in Bo District from 2002 to 2022, when at 20 years of active service and the APC party. Where in your indelible mark, it transcended over the 42 wards in Bo District, the 16 chiefdoms in Bo District, and 11 constituencies in Bo District, from constituency 078 to constituency 088. Any hard work, any mark, he did all the 16 chiefdoms in Abo District from Baja, Bagbo, Bagbe, Bauma, Bumpegao, Bo, Jama, Bongo, Kakwa, Komboya, Logbo, Nyawalenga, Selenga, Tikonko, Valunia, and Wunde chiefdoms. May his gentle soul rest in perfect peace, ladies and gentlemen. So, we call on we comrades there, we sympathizers and well-wishers there. We want for go sympathize with we late comrade and in family. He for contact the Bo District Executive for all burial arrangement, you contact 078 678 655. Once more again, 078 678 655. This now Comrade Amido Keta, when at the Bo District Chairman for the All People's Congress Party in contact number. Senior comrade, we uncle, we daddy, we mentor, we teacher, and we longest serving secretary for the All People's Congress Party in Abo District, Comrade Yayah Kamara. May your gentle soul rest in perfect peace. Amen. Amen. That now we first topic today. We second topic, ladies and gentlemen, the deal on civic education on fetish and ritualism. Fetish and ritualism, the interconnected. We are a fetish now an object we imbued with ritualistic and symbolic significance. Fetish then will be used in various rituals and ceremonies. Then they serve as focal point for spiritual and communal practices. Their objects there, they often believe and say, they get supernatural powers or for represent a connection to the spiritual realm. Ladies and gentlemen, this is now more detail about the relationship. Fetish, the definition of fetish, now an object or a practice or a behavior were imbued with the symbolic and the ritualistic significance, often considered sacred or get magical powers. The spiritual context. Fetish, then they frequently use in a spiritual or religious context. Then they serve as intermediaries between the material and the spiritual world. They include objects like talisman, amulets, or car figures, whether they use in rituals and ceremonies. So ritualism refers to the performance of ritual, when a formal or a ceremonial act will often involve repeated actions then, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Sierra Leone and comrades all, of symbol and objects then. The role of fetish in rituals. Fetish then they often play a key role in rituals. Then they serve as a focal point for prayer, for offerings, and for other spiritual practices. Example, ritual will involve spiritual powers for honor ancestors or for moving life, where would they say life transition with fetishes acts where na intermediaries or tools then for achieve then goals there. We get the cultural variation. Ritual practice then. Now the object where they use in them, like for slaughter a young baby, bury a virgin life, put sebe, na dog immort, show immort, bury her alive, use human blood, and all the evil things they will not know. They vary greatly across different cultures and belief systems. The connection of rituals as frameworks then for fetish use. Ritually provide a framework for the use and the interpretation of fetish then, where they share how they view them as they interact with them. So fetish then, now symbolic representation. Fetish they serve as a symbolic representation of spiritual beliefs. The power of deities for enhance the meaning and impact on rituals. Ritual are the means of connecting with the spiritual realm. Rituals they often involve fetish and the way individuals and community and development partners for connect with the spiritual realm, for invoke or for honor supernatural forces. Fetish they often create through ritual and they imbue them with spiritual power for make them sacred within cultural context. The use of fetish could be linked to various purposes, such as protection, manipulation, hunting, divination, or for enhance what we call fertility. Our now The fetish they wouldn't they use and the rituals they wouldn't they use and the user against development partners they. We prepared and well determined for can restore we stolen democracy in the Mama Saloon where they don't hijack. Now the SLPP Paopa state looters political parties, the killers political parties, and the useless sell out leadership of the APC. They don't carry with so many Morimans, there's so many Juju man, there's so many ritualists there, and underworld people there for can help them for fight this battle. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Sierra Leoneans, we are in, then they use the fetish and the rituals then for manipulate with development partners then on the spiritual realm. We come for restore, we stolen democracy. Now, how did they go about that? When I know say all the one the way they come, when I with development partners, then they can lodge in their hotels then, like Bintimani hotels and the other hotel then. So them murderous ritualists they are, then they engage all the hotel people then for put charm, talisman, and ritual symbols there on their food and the water when they drink. So as soon as they eat their food, they drink that water, they automatically they don't capture them now the underworld kingdom and for manipulate the other want in the spiritual realm. Ladies and gentlemen. So what did the people that they do? Then they just continue for laugh and forget what they come for. Ladies and gentlemen, they're not going to accomplish what they come for. Ladies and gentlemen, and return back, we said them come out without doing anything. Fellow listeners, now this they go on today in the Republic of Sierra Leone. So, fellow Sierra Leoneans, Lord, we trumpet this message here for the attention of the ECOWAS, the African Union, the United States, the European Union, the United Nations, and United Kingdom people the way they can for restore with democracy. For let them fend people there, where they provide special food and water for them, where they cook for them, then can or then can as alone. If possible, let them lodge now the various embassies there and come with a special cook them, where they give them food and then they give them the drinking water. Because this murderous and fetish regime, they're not ready with the rituals there. For let they able manipulate the people that way they come for can restore with stolen democracy in the Mama Saloon. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Sierra Leoneans. And this one, I don't get this information very explicitly, and I confirm information for 3 people there where they work in them various hotels they are. They say this, now in the Paopa state looters and the APC sell out leadership they embark on now. So the Christians there, when I continue for read Psalm 23 and other Psalm there, where they cast out, then demons they are. For the Muslim there, when I read Ayatul Kursi 7 times, Suratul Ikhlas 7 times when I could allow, Suratul Falak 7 times, Suratul Nas 7 times, during all the 5 daily prayers they want to perform. Ladies and gentlemen, they go to the Salatul Safu Witr for destroy all the fetishes and the rituals there. Where them people are don't count, Bokumo remand them for can fight against the people of the Republic of Sierra Leone. Woman then, anyone will get chance, we net reach for sleep himself naked middle night and pray against them fetish there and then rituals there. And then people there, we plan for destroy the country. The one that we get upper hand, therefore call the imams them, they recite the Holy Quran after dawn, then throw away blood for kill animal, and then they recite the Quran, then they recite the higher when they slaughter the animal. And waiting at the surah, when they recite, when they slaughter this animal here, where the blood they flow. Now Suratul Zulzila. It go like this. Ya zulzulati la arlu zulzalaha. Wa akrati larlu askalaha. Wa kala linsanu malaha. Yoma inzi tu adisu akbaraha. Bi anna rabbaka au ilaha. Yoma inzi yasduri nasi astata liyuraha amalahu. فمن يعمل مثقال جارته خيرا يرى ومن يعمل مثقال جارته سارا يرى. When the blood they flow, now this for it. Now the only way we could destroy them people they are, all the Moriman them, all the fetish them, where they come within the country, for let we able to conquer this electoral justice battle and then people are them face accountability. That's my second topic today. My third topic today, ladies and gentlemen, now leadership versus terrorism. In Sierra Leone today, under the SLPP Paopa Biocracy, we don't get leaders, we don't get politicians, but all we get are a bunch of exploitative terrorists, ladies and gentlemen. They not represent the people there, but they represent the extremistic and terroristic desires because they don't get results, because they enjoy stolen mandate. But what we want, let the extremists there and then terrorists there know. If they not stand with the people of Sierra Leone, for let them produce the June 24, 2023 multi-tier election results, we go hold them accountable. For let them produce the result, we qualify them for become president, honorable, mayors, chairperson, and councillors in the Republic of Sierra Leone. If they fail for do so, they're supposed to return all the monies that we don't collect from salaries from a consolidated revenue fund because they're not thief man there, ladies and gentlemen, and they're not to the representative of the people. No wonder why both of them don't come together, conspired, and gang up against the people of Sierra Leone. For empty we state coppers there, for plunder we state resources there on a stolen mandate. The Sierra Leone 1991 constitution make it very clear how forgets power, authority, and legitimacy by the popular mandate of the people, where the constitution talk about government and the people. We're in chapter 2, the fundamental principles of state policy, fellows listeners all over the globe. Section 5, subsection 2, paragraph AC. It is accordingly declared that sovereignty belongs to the people of Sierra Leone, from whom government, through this constitution, derives all its powers, authority, and legitimacy. So when a bunch of extremists and terrorists there, when I go tell we, whosa una get una power, whosa una get the authority, and whosa una get the legitimacy for rule the people of Sierra Leone. Ladies and gentlemen, let una put her now at the back of our mind and let una put her inside una skull. We dey set a brighter example where no politician no go dare again for do and the Republic of Sierra Leone for can impose themselves on the people with a stolen mandate. All presidential appointees then for be ready for pay back the stolen mandate money there and illegitimate money there when they receive from a consolidated revenue fund. A leader they guide and inspire, while a terrorist they use violence and intimidation for achieve their goals. Leaders they aim for improve a situation, while terrorists they aim for disrupt and destroy. Ladies and gentlemen, leaders they prioritize the well-being of the people, whereas terrorists they often they disregard the safety and the lives of the people. So, ladies and gentlemen, leaders therefore follow the national constitution of the Republic of Sierra Leone, while terrorists then they operate by the rule of men and then terroristic decrees. Leaders they conduct election and produce result, whereas terrorists then they bulldoze democracy and what we call constitutionalism. Now we talk about the leadership role of terrorists. When a narcissistic and charismatic leaders then their leader they often devoid of core values beyond personal self-interest, and they adept what we call for exploit others. The strategies thinking through believers. Their leaders they lack conscience and they're willing for employ violence without reservation. We get charismatic leaders then. Their leader possess the ability for inspire and for motivate their followers then through their own vision and communication. Often they lead to strong loyalty and commitment. Which are the four key elements of terrorism? The four crucial components of terrorism: number one, now the involvement of an act of violence. Number two, now the creation of a mood of fear. Number three, innocent victims. And number four, political goals or motives. Waiting at the several types of terrorism, ladies and gentlemen, will get. We get civil disorder, we get political terrorism, we get non-political terrorism, we get quasi-terrorism, we get limited political terrorism, and we get state-sponsored terrorism, when are slavery and colonization. Waiting at the main reason for terrorism at the Republic of Sierra Leone perspective. Number one, na ethnic separation. Number two, na internal politics factors. And number three, na support for external factors. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Sierra Leonean comrades all. Number four, na ideological belief. The ideology of the SLPP. They believe, say, they for kill, they for slaughter, they use violence, brutalize people there for stay in power. Waiting at the risk factors of terrorism. Number one, a low esteem, when a low self-esteem. Number two, na lack of social contract. Number three, na difficulties with the religious, political, and societal identity. Waiting at the roots of terrorism. Terrorism is rooted in political repression, state failure, ethnic conflict, and foreign policy behavior. Waiting at the six tactics of terrorism. The tactics there they include shooting, hijacking, kidnapping, bombing, and suicidal attacks. Where we get number six, when are extrajudicial killings or strategic ethnic cleansing. Shooting. The SLPP shoot and kill citizens then. Na Tonkolimba, na Kamakuye, na Mashaka, na Lonshar, na Ma91, na Masengbe, na Tombo, the McKinney Generator Massacre, the August 10, 11, 12, 13 to 15 government-sponsored massacre, the Pandemba Road Maximum Prison Massacre, the September 11 Massacre, the Paopa-sponsored massacre of the November 26 failed cook-up coup massacre. Ladies and gentlemen, all them things they are not terroristic act and not a democratic act. So we are ruled by a bunch of thieves and exploitative terrorists. Hijacking, ladies and gentlemen, when are the tactics of terrorism? The SLP become an hijack with democracy through power. Ladies and gentlemen, the people that have been going to bush and bring 11 years brutal, bloody, deadly, nasty, and devastating rebel war in the name of democracy. Today, now the same people that can conduct election without results, going down to 2 years. Ladies and gentlemen, they act here extremistic and terroristic, ladies and gentlemen. And this they not call a democratic act. Fellow Sierra Leoneans, fellow listeners, comrades all both home and the diaspora. The other terroristic act again, what they do, na kidnapping. The SLPP come, then kidnap citizens then, root them out of their houses then, by Lael Lawrence Lima, when are the Deputy Minister of Internal Affairs under the SLPP and also doubles as the National Publicity Secretary of the Sierra Leone People's Party on August 10 and beyond. The SLPP camp they incarcerated 318 political prisoners. They only acknowledge 15. They balance 303. They no able to account of them. Then kidnap them and slaughter them in cold blood for fetish and ritual, for let them be able to stay in power or for let them usurp political powers. Ladies and gentlemen, while the other one then kidnap them inside the bush, when I will be party agents and party monitors then at the southeast, then use them as Yamoto, when a cannibalistic behavior. Bombing, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Sierra Leoneans, SLPP Paopa, then carry sporadic firing, suppressive firing, and bombing them. now the northwest region of the Republic of Sierra Leone, ladies and gentlemen, as if Sierra Leone they at war. The military might, they're not going to go use and to the Guinean soldiers there. We don't take over with territory when Yenga, then disregard the Guinean soldiers there. Ladies and gentlemen, when they terrorize with territorial integrity and don't pull all the people they under, now Kailan district where they do agriculture. The only might we then get now for massacre armless poor citizens. What a terroristic act, ladies and gentlemen. Citizens and they commit suicide because of political terrorism, oppression, incendiarism, and barbarism. Burn people their houses there. People then they become frustrated, then commit suicide. Ladies and gentlemen, the bombing and the sporadic firing where Paopa they use as if Sierra Leone they at war. Una listen, ladies and gentlemen. So, ladies and gentlemen, when I call this democracy, this is not democracy, ladies and gentlemen, but this is not a terroristic act. Fellow Sierra Leoneans, ladies and gentlemen, comrades all, both home and the diaspora. Now, I make what they call the international community. They may promise the people of Sierra Leone say they can with democracy to we, ladies and gentlemen. But today, what do we see? Not a democracy. Today, what do we see? Not terrorism. Today, what do we see? Not killing. Today, what do we see? Not massacre. Today, what do we see? Not assassination. Today, what do we see? Not extrajudicial killing. Today, what do we see? Not unlawful incarceration. Today, what do we see? Then they force Sierra Leoneans there for leave their country and go in exile, ladies and gentlemen. When I forceful exile, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Sierra Leone and communists all both home and the diaspora. So now I make with a call on the international community. Let them know say democracy don't die long time more, ladies and gentlemen. This now waiting the rule is so today, now terrorism and terroristic acts, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Sierra Leoneans.
The Constitution of Sierra Leone mandates a presidential election every 5 years. In June 2023, Sierra Leoneans went to the polls to exercise their democratic right. They hoped for a fair and transparent process, a process that would reflect the will of the people. Instead, they got chaos and controversy. The incumbent president, Mata Bio, sought re-election. His main challenger was Sierra Kamara, a seasoned politician representing the All People's Congress. The election was fiercely contested, with both sides campaigning hard across the nation. The stakes were high, and the atmosphere was tense. The future of Sierra Leone hung in the balance. On June 24th, 2023, the people of Sierra Leone cast their votes. They placed their trust in the electoral system, hoping that their voices would be heard. However, the events that unfolded in the days following the election would shake the very foundations of Sierra Leonean democracy and leave the nation deeply divided. Just one day after the election, on June 25th, 2023, Mata Bio was declared the winner. The speed of the announcement was startling. Even more alarming was the fact that the announcement came before all the votes had been counted. This unprecedented move immediately raised red flags and sparked outrage across the nation. The Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone, the body responsible for overseeing the election, failed to provide a transparent and verifiable count. The lack of transparency fueled suspicions of foul play. How could a winner be declared without counting all the votes? The answer, many believed, was simple. The election had been rigged. The international community, accustomed to Sierra Leone's relatively peaceful democratic transitions, watched with growing concern. The absence of a clear and verifiable vote count undermined the credibility of the election. It cast a long shadow of doubt over the legitimacy of Mata Bio's claim to the presidency.
So, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Sierra Leoneans, this not a democracy, but this is not terrorism and a terroristic act. fellow Sierra Leoneans. Ladies and gentlemen, comrades all. Now I make we call the international community for can restore back we stolen democracy na mama salon. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't suffer too long. Then the thief with gold, then the thief with diamond, then the thief with iron ore, then the thief with bauxite, with rutile, with titanium oxide. They don't conquer all we state coffers then. They don't take with money, all them carry and go overseas. Then they kill the people there, jail the people there, torture the people there, manhandle the people there, incarcerate the people there unlawfully. The only right we left for the people of Sierra Leone, then thief and back. Weighing at the votes of the people, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Sierra Leoneans. So, what are not terrorists? Now, them people here, they're not terrorists, ladies and gentlemen.
The Sierra Leone presidential elections of June 24th. What we saw there was, if you like, President Julius Maada Bio, a former Army Brigadier General, who I know actually, and he went about going for re-election for a second term as president with all of the guns blazing, literally. There were 3 or 4 attempts to assassinate his principal opponent, Dr. Kamara. So that was actually quite profound because the military and the police were used in those assassination attempts, the presidential guard and the like. And they were in uniform, they were being videotaped by bystanders. And the last attempt on Dr. Kamara's life was the day after the June 24th poll closed, when it looked as though, by some fluke, Dr. Kamara could be declared winner of the election. In fact, that day, Dr. Kamara and his deputy did come out with a press statement saying that they claimed victory in the election. So President Bio was desperate that this should not occur. He had paid the election commissioner handsomely and actually wanted him to step up the process of announcing the election results to June 25th, 26th, and even held a gun to the head of the election commissioner, which didn't prove to be necessary because the election commissioner did as he was paid to do anyway, which was to announce Bio as the winner. The unfortunate thing for President Bio was that the whole process was so scandalously rigged that none of the international observer missions, that included the Carter Institute from the United States, official election monitoring teams from the United Kingdom, Ireland, Italy, Germany, and France, plus the European Union's own monitoring team, all said that they would not certify the elections as free and fair or transparent. So President Bio looked as though he was going to be cut off from any Western recognition. The Sierra Leone presidential elections.
So, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Sierra Leoneans, this not a democracy, but this an act of terrorism. So we call on the international community for tell them say, not to terrorism they may count for we na Sierra Leone, na democracy they count for we. So they can restore back we stolen democracy now Macedon and remove them terrorists there from political power usurpation, fellow Sierra Leoneans. Ladies and gentlemen, comrades all, both home and the diaspora. So we see with citizens then they fled their home to forceful exile because of the rampant state-sponsored massacre, extrajudicial killing, strategic ethnic cleansing, unlawful imprisonment, and unlawful disappearances. Short type of governance, not a democratic governance, but not a terroristic governance. Ladies and gentlemen, so the SLPP get all the 6 tactics of terrorism. Fellow Sierra Leoneans, ladies and gentlemen, comrades all, waiting at the goal of terrorism. The killings go be motivated by ideology, religion, tribe, region, politics, or nationalism. But most terrorist groups then they conduct assassination for eliminate the enemies, the political opponents, then intimidate the population, discourage cooperation, influence public opinion, increase government effectiveness, gain media attention, and simply for exact revenge. Ladies and gentlemen, waiting at the importance for prevent terrorism, what they call on with development partners there and the international community. Terrorism, they threaten with territorial integrity and security of a nation and seek for destabilize legitimate government. So for counter the interest there, the international community for strengthening cooperation in preventing and combating terrorism in the Republic of Sierra Leone, waiting at the effect of terrorism on a society. Terrorism get the capacity for erode the sense of community or national security. Then they damage morale and national cohesion and open the tribal, regional, ethnic, economic, and political cracks where they exist today in our society, as evidence in the increased hate crimes there following the September 11, 2001 attacks, according to the Human Rights Watch and Republic of Sierra Leone. And the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, then categorized terrorism in the United States as one or two types. We get domestic terrorism and we get international terrorism. So what do we get today now, Mama Salone? Now political terrorism and domestic terrorism. Ladies and gentlemen, comrades all both home and the diaspora. So we call on the international community. We call on the United Kingdom. We call on the United States. We call on the European Union. We call on the United Nations. We call on all international organizations, therefore, let us restore back with stolen democracy. Waiting the 44th President of the United States of America, when Barack Hussein Obama say about democracy. Nothing we see as alone, but what we see as alone, not terrorism. Now we listen to Barack Obama, waiting again for tell we about democracy.
On TV is a democracy. Democracy depends on strong institutions, and it's about minority rights and checks and balances and freedom of speech and freedom of expression and a free press and the right to protest and petition the government and an independent judiciary and everybody having to follow the law.
So we now get independent institutions there. All the institutions, Paopa don't capture them, including we now get independent judiciary. The judiciary will get a day inside Paopa them pocket. So would I go tell we say na democracy with the practice nas alone? Not a democracy, ladies and gentlemen. Now terrorism then they practice nas alone. Now listen again to the Paopa sponsor state massacre. So the international community and we international moral guarantors there, when I call such act as democracy, no, this is not democracy, but this is not a terroristic act, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Sierra Leonean comrades all both home and the diaspora. So we call on the international community for stand tall for this electoral justice, for let them restore back with stolen democracy, Namamas alone. For according to for the definition of democracy by the Greek state and the Athens states, they say demos when are the people and kratos power, that the people then power. According to the 16th president of the United States of America, when Abraham Lincoln, he say within, he say democracy, not the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Ladies and gentlemen, today, not to this day, not alone. Today, what we get na democracy, na killings, na torture, na everything. And we get a leader, we then say he get PhD in coup d'etat. So anybody will get PhD in coup d'etat, not to a democratic leader, but a terrorist or a terroristic leader. Ladies. So, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Sierra Leoneans, this don't tell we international community say we not get democracy na mama saloon, but na terrorism. Ladies and gentlemen, they at play na mama saloon. Look what they take Sierra Leonean citizens then begin go fire, then kill them. They let their boots them, then Suriba then others, then kill them. They say na cool. We inter alia. Now then same people are tell we say not to cool. But later, when then go na them both school club, then go make meeting day, then turn on to cool just for kill people then. We then feel saying a threat to them. Ladies and gentlemen, Lord listen, wait till the army spokesman mean tell we the people of Sierra Leone.
I want to make people understand it. This is not a coup. This is not a coup. This is an attack where the people are wrong. Because, you know, coup and Nigeria are different.
So, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Sierra Leoneans, comrades all, both home and the diaspora, this now we come today for tell the people of Sierra Leone about waiting na democracy, waiting na terrorism, and waiting na terroristic leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Sierra Leonean comrades all, both home and the diaspora. So with the urge with international community, let them not joke with this transition. Let them fight hard for this transition here, ladies and gentlemen, because Sierra Leone people, they will get the democracy. They not get right again. They not get nothing. Then last right way left for them when are they voting right, then differ again. No election result, ladies.
European election observers have said there were statistical inconsistencies in the results of Sierra Leone's presidential election. On Tuesday, the incumbent, Julius Maada Bio, was declared the winner with 56% of the vote, narrowly avoiding a runoff with his main opposition rival, Sierra Kamara. Kamara has said that the results are not credible, and on Wednesday, the European Union Election Observation Mission said in a statement that there were inconsistencies between the first and second batch of presidential results. That included, quote, notable discrepancies in the number of average valid votes per polling state. The results showed a strikingly low number of invalid ballots nationwide, the statement said, and a very high turnout exceeding 95% in at least 3 districts. The European Observer Mission called on Sierra Leone's Electoral Commission to promptly publish disaggregated results data per polling station. That would allow for public scrutiny, without which, the mission said, transparency was compromised. Sierra Leone's Chief Electoral Commissioner said the disaggregated results would be uploaded to its website in due course, but that it would take time. A spokesperson for the Electoral Commission declined to comment on alleged irregularities, saying he had not seen the mission's statement.
Today, ladies and gentlemen, 2 years, no election result. So when I call this democracy, this not a democracy. At the end of the day, what it happened? The massacre we people them back in August 10, when an act of terrorism, ladies and gentlemen.
The finding of the 2023 U.S. Human Rights Report is correct. The Republic of Sierra Leone, armed forces officers who were directly or indirectly involved in incidents resulting in the death of citizens. August 10th, protest, Lima, Lavahun, Alpha, Bosowo, and Kemo. The McCaney Generator protest, Samba, Bassi, and Komba. Pademba Road Prison Massacre, Lima, Bosowa, Momo, and Amara. Killing of Evangelical Samson, Idara, Bacana, and Komba. The 28 June, 2023 shooting at APC party office, Masakwo, TM Brima, Paika, FS Aruna, and Bokhari. Additionally, Bokhari was involved in the death of evangelical Samson, Dasama, Simbo, Kainesi, and Yayah Brima were involved in the August 10 killings.
So, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Sierra Leoneans, you call this democracy? This not a democracy, but this not a terroristic act, fellow Sierra Leoneans. Ladies and gentlemen, comrades all, both home and the diaspora. When I listen to the massacre we happened at the All People's Congress Party national headquarters, where we get useless, reckless, unscrupulous leadership, they tell we say, Lord, move ahead to 2028, fellow Sierra Leoneans.
The aftermath of the shooting at the APC party office on 25 June 2023 witnessed a comical display of blame shifting among RSL-left generals. Chief of Defense Staff General Lava Hun, in a heated gathering with Joint Force Commander General Alpha and the commanding officer of the Joint Communication Unit, Lieutenant Colonel Francis Sheriff Aruna, demanded accountability for the incident. Lava Hun, visibly agitated, questioned General Alpha about who authorized the shooting. General Alpha denied giving such an order and pointed to Lieutenant Colonel Aruna as the operation commander responsible for the incident. Lieutenant Colonel Aruna, feeling disappointed and frustrated by Lava Hun's ire, argued that he wasn't the sole commander present at the scene. He mentioned the involvement of the Presidential Guard and Sierra Leonean police.
So, ladies and gentlemen, the military, the Sierra Leonean police, the Presidential Guard, all gang up together for kill and massacre the citizens of Sierra Leone. We call this democracy. This not a democracy, but this not an act of terrorism. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Sierra Leonean comrades all, both home and the diaspora. So we call the international community for leadership decapitation, because one of the central pillars of the United States, the counter-terrorism policy, now for capture and for kill a terrorist group, the leader. Ladies and gentlemen, we're effective so that for restore we stolen and hijacked democracy in the Republic of Sierra Leone. Ladies and gentlemen, we terrorists them and exploitative bunch of thieves. They don't convert today to terrorism, headed by the Paopa Southeast Mende Shabru warlord, if will be captured for committing an act of terrorism in our saloon. Ladies and gentlemen, because we get so many terroristic attacks there, we don't happen at the Republic of Sierra Leone from 2018 to date, as I don't highlight them for una. The massive looting and the extrajudicial killing, the massacring of innocent prisoners, where they in log. Ladies and gentlemen, kill citizens there, seize them bodies them from their family and the loved ones them, bury them inhumanly as destitute. When a gross violation of human rights, according to the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights, kill citizens there in cold blood because of their political beliefs and democratic right to the freedom of association, when a violation against the international covenant to civil and political right, conduct election result, ladies and gentlemen, without election result, when a violation of international covenant of civil and political right by using terrorism for disenfranchised citizens, then we basically enshrined in the 1991 Constitution of the Republic of Sierra Leone in Section 35, Chapter 4, when a representation of the people, ladies and gentlemen. We then talk about the registration of voters in Section 31. They say every citizen of Sierra Leone, being 18 years of age and above, and of sound mind, shall have the right to vote, and accordingly shall be entitled to be registered as a voter for the purposes of public elections and referenda. Today, the citizens don't vote for choose the leaders then. Elections were conducted with no result. Such an act, not autocracy. Such an act is undemocratic, unconstitutional, treasonous, and terroristic. Ladies and gentlemen, then they violate the constitutional rights of the voters, disenfranchise the citizens of Sierra Leone, and also suspend, alter, repeal, bulldoze, and circumvent the 1991 Constitution with an act of treason because the elections were conducted by the rule of men and not by the rule of law. So see section 108, subsection 8. They say any suspension, alteration, or repeal of this constitution other than on the authority of parliament shall be deemed to be an act of treason. So fellow Sierra Leoneans, both home and abroad, law we stand very strong for electoral justice. Ladies and gentlemen, I know say democracy go win over terrorism. We for eliminate terrorism and restore we hijack and stolen democracy. Namama Salone. Ladies and gentlemen, we want for see in the watch of the international community, we moral guarantors there in their face. Ladies and gentlemen, Lord we see who side terrorism, they eliminate democracy. Namama Salone. So, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Sierra Leone and communists all both home and the diaspora, now this message here we get for una today. But what's in the Republic of Sierra Leone happen in the Republic of Sierra Leone, ladies and gentlemen. Now one green side, now they no more they suffer. Now one green part of the country, now they kill. Now one green part of the country, now they massacre people them. Now one green part of the country, now they shame. Look at what they do. Ladies and gentlemen, just for political reason, for destroy the country, they don't go create Banaduma district. They don't go create Panguma district. They plan back for Kana Freetown, for can divide Freetown into two. Then commode back, then Kana Waterloo, can divide Waterloo into three and form a new city, Winalunge City. Ladies and gentlemen, all this now an act of terrorism, ladies and gentlemen. But what happened? Why now one green side no more? Then they kill, then they massacre, then they terrorize, then they jail and force people then to forceful exile.
From the north, Yayah by Mahmoud, APC Sheriff, Kasha Cole, Lock Stalin, Blast and Adubuya, all from those are commanders who lay captivity, Major Matil, we don't kill Samson, Elega, Big Slave, Papunat and Dongo, we don't jail some, miss some, fuck you kill some. No, for quiet, me not and body when I soldier you kill it, you don't jail make it, I stand quick. The killing is not too much. From when you take power, not an hand, not a breath, any movement from the north. I swear you they kill, look not some bones, no south, put love for Mackenzie and Freetown. Why not the north, you don't hate no more? That's your belly's in Zimbabwe.